another weight loss myth. And if you're anything like us, we used to believe that if we just counted calories and like went on all the diets and bought all the diet things, that we would just magically lose the weight. We got, I'm gonna say, scammed into like buying all of these things that are marketed as health products or weight loss products or diet products. In fact, if you've watched for any length of time, you've probably heard my story about going on diet pills, that like most embarrassing moment of my life. I'm not going to share it with you here. You can go back and watch a different video where I talk about it.
Oh, wow.
But we got scammed into buying all these things and believing that all those things were like the quick fix to our weight loss problems.
When in reality, they're not. We got scammed into believing the lies of the marketing because there is so much marketing that just gets you in. Like they reel you in, and that's exactly what they want to do.
Yeah.
They are trying to tell you that like all these foods are really good for your health, when in reality, they're actually harming our bodies.
Yeah. And like that's why we called this video Healthy is Confusing. What's good and what's not, because it can be so incredibly confusing.
Yeah, 1 minute FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, says this is really good for you. Tomorrow they say it's very bad for you.
Yeah.
Everything changes and it is confusing.
It is confusing. And especially the way things are marketed to us today. And so eventually in this whole story, both Ruth and I, went on to lose the weight that we wanted to lose. And today we're going to share with you like what actually truly worked for us to lose the weight.
What we had to change.
Yeah, what we had to change. And first, by uncovering all these things that we did have to change and uncovering the lies, figuring out what healthy actually means to us, and then by applying biblical truth.
Yeah,
so
like, I'm just going to say one thing that I used to own a gym for women, and most of you know that. Some of you don't. If you're new, I'm Ruth.
And I'm Casey.
We're a mother-daughter team, and we love to talk about all things healthy Christian living, which incorporates mind, body, and soul, because that's what the Bible talks about. But I used to own a gym for women, and you know, I love coffee, but coffee is one of those things where they say, oh, coffee's really bad for you, and then the next minute, oh, you should drink 6 cups of coffee, and then it's, oh, coffee's really bad for you. So we love the verse in the Bible that says all things in moderation, and there's one that says not everything is beneficial, but it is permissible.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that exactly goes. That was the opposite of how it is in the Bible. But you know, you get the picture.
All things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial.
Yeah.
I have the right to do anything, but I can't think how the rest goes. Anyways, yeah.
We'll look it up.
Yeah, I'll look it up right now while you're talking.
But, you know, so I like moderation. And, you know, I'm going to say it depends what you put into your coffee. That makes it healthy or not healthy.
Yeah.
I like black coffee, and I'm very fortunate. I used to add cream, but I got rid of the cream because I got rid of dairy. Not all dairy, but the dairy in my body, like cream or milk or that, it wasn't good for me. Now, that doesn't mean it isn't good for you. We are all unique. We're made different, but we have to figure out what works in our bodies, and you have to figure out what works in your bodies. But we know that when stuff is marketed falsely, like it's healthy, and we know that it has tons of chemicals and preservatives and food coloring dyes and sugar, we know that if it's marketed as healthy, it's a lie. It's a myth.
It's so bad. It actually makes me crazy that type of stuff is allowed. Like for all of the insane regulations that exist in Canada, North America, in North America, that is not regulated better actually drives me insane. Like, it makes me crazy.
So this is our rant today, but now we're going to switch to the verse.
The verse is 1 Corinthians 10:23, and different versions say it different, obviously, but the NIV says, I have the right to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive.
Yeah, and that's a really good verse for what we're talking about today. And we are going to tell you now, so hopefully you stick around to the end, because we want to tell you what worked for us and what myths we had to dispel and what we had to stop purchasing in order to lose the weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just writing down another food that I thought of while you were talking about coffee is wine. Red wine is another one that's like one day it's the best thing for your
So
heart health,
healthy.
and the next day it's like, don't ever drink it again.
I know, because first they say,
Yeah.
oh, like one of the doctors told my hubby he should have a glass of red wine every single day.
Yeah.
Then you hear other people who talk about like health influencers who say you should never drink alcohol because it just is destroying your cells.
Yeah.
So
it's confusing.
So yes, the whole topic that we're talking about today is what is good for you and what isn't. And it is health. The word health is confusing.
It is. And Margie, I saw you had a comment there about the FDA or the CDC or something. It's different. It's called something different in the States than it is in Canada.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly what. I don't know who regulates all that stuff in different countries.
Well,
I just know
the HWO or WHO is the World Health Organization.
Yeah.
I know they have a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And we have Food and Drug Administration, right?
I don't think we do that. Have that one in Canada. I think that's the States. But
okay, well,
the regulations are different even from Canada to the States.
Oh yeah,
like quite different.
And Canada doesn't allow a lot of what you are allowed, and we want.
Yeah.
So it is just confusing.
But Europe has way stricter regulations than North America. And I think a lot of it is for the better because so many of the companies, like the big companies, are adding stuff to our food that should not.
And doesn't need to be.
Yes, in food. Because they can make the exact same thing. Like I think I talked on a video a while back about this experiment that I watched.
Yeah, Center for Disease Control. Yeah.
Yeah.
CDC.
Between Europe, this one was between Europe and Canada, because in Europe, a lot of the food dyes and additives are not allowed in the foods that are allowed here in Canada. And so they did this they did this comparison with kids of two of the products that I remember in particular were Doritos and M&Ms. And the color was very different from the Canadian version to the European version.
Ours are much brighter.
Yeah, because there's so much food dye added that's not allowed in Europe. And all of the kids on every food that they tried preferred the European version. They did not care that the food was kind of more muted colors, and they said it tasted better. And so like
interesting.
M&Ms, they know how to make them without the food dyes. Doritos, they know how to make it without the food dyes because they have to do it that way in other countries. So why are they still adding it here? It's crazy.
When they know how it affects, especially children, well, adults too, but we just tend to not have them as much, and children do. Yeah. So why do they put it in there? Why is it allowed? But anyway, that's off topic.
Yeah, those things aren't, we know M&Ms and Doritos aren't healthy.
Yeah.
And if you think they're healthy, then you should start reading some labels because, oh boy. So yeah, we had to take a really big, hard look at what we were purchasing, what we were calling healthy and labeling as healthy in our own homes, and make some changes. And so we're going to share those changes. We're going to also share the things that we had to look at. You've probably heard us talk about some of them before. Yeah. The first one.
Well, I was just going to say, Margie, I agree with you because you said all that crap, it's cancer causing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just destroys our health. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it so confusing because we think we can believe what the CDC or, the
FDA or whoever,
whoever's doing it, the government, you think that they would be doing it for our best, for our health, but they're not. So anyway, So
the first one we're going to talk about is we had to dispel the myth in our own heads that bananas were so bad for us. And if you've done any sort of fad diet in the last 30 years, you will have been told not to eat a banana.
Okay, so you all know, I just told you that I used to own a gym for women. Casey used to work there as well. Now, I did so much, I'm going to say diet facilitations. We put through so many women through, because I did a Curves gym, and they had their own plan. And, I'm going to say for the most part, there was a lot of good to it. Women lost a lot of weight. And I had the help of seeing people transform their lives. I loved it. But there is a lot of things in that plan that we don't agree on. After diving into our own plan and making our own plan, we realized that there's a lot of things in there that aren't so good. And so bananas was one of the things I taught that we shouldn't eat. And I've had to really work through that in my mind, because I would say, no, I can't eat a banana. It has too many carbs. It's got like 50 carbs. I can't eat a banana. Oh no, don't eat bananas. If you're trying to lose weight, don't eat bananas. And it's like, now I'm saying, you can eat bananas. It's one of God's best foods for you. It has so many health benefits for you. You can eat bananas. And when I go to eat a banana, I still have to tell myself, Ruth, you are allowed to eat a banana.
Yeah, I know. Like that stuff gets hardwired in there, where like it is a process that you have to continually work at to change it up. And Margie, it's a bubbly. So it's
a bubbly
carbonated water and natural flavor. So that's actually a question we get quite often, is what we think about flavored waters. And I think the biggest thing that we say about flavored waters, because I mean, if you want to talk about comparing that to drinking a can of Coke, well, choose this one every day of your life. But we also don't want this to become a replacement just for drinking water.
That's right. Because show them what you also have that. So
this is, I think, my 6th one today, and it's 3:00 in the afternoon here.
So this is what I'm going to say is a really good thing to have if you need something special, or you're feeling like you need something special.
Yeah.
Or you're on holidays, but the ingredients here are carbonated water and natural flavor. There is 0 calories, 0 fat, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 0 protein, 0 sodium. So you want to be looking at all of those things, especially the sodium. Mm-hmm. So this is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So this is one of the things that I'm going to say Casey has replaced from, let's talk about the next one. I mean, we talked about bananas. Okay, you can talk about the diet sodas.
Yeah, and if you've watched us for any length of time, you know that I used to be very addicted to Diet Coke. And I don't actually even really like it anymore. I still have one like once in a blue moon, because sometimes I just, have the craving for one. And I have to make sure that I keep that in check though, because I know that if I start having it too often, my taste buds will start to change again and I'm going to start to want it all the time again. And so like I was out at the store today and I was out at Walmart, and our Walmarts have McDonald's, just like most of them probably do in the States too. And I thought, oh, I should go get a Diet Coke. And then I thought, no, I really shouldn't. And so I came home and had this in my fridge instead. So, like it's all about choices. And that is one of the things we want to talk about at the end, is like every decision we make matters. But the diet sodas are another one of those things that we got so brainwashed in diet culture over the last like 30 years that like diet soda, it's
fine.
it's 0 calories and it's
fine.
You can drink as much as you want and still lose the weight. And like Diet Coke, I'm going to say, has been marketed to us as women like the thing that you need to have in order to like be a woman, and in order to like be in the diet culture, and in order to like have the look and be sexy and all the things. And like I just read this different study a couple days ago about the definition of ultra processed foods. So now they're not even classifying things as just processed. There are just processed foods, but now there's another category called ultra processed foods. Go ahead.
Okay, before you go into that ultra processed, let's tell them what processed is.
Yeah, go ahead.
So processing is any altering of foods. So you get an apple. It's a God-created apple from an apple tree. That's a whole food in its original form, original state. Now I cut it up and I put it into a pot and I make applesauce. That's a process. If I cut it up and freeze it, that's a process, because I'm altering its original state. Mm-hmm. So there's processed foods, which some of them are bad because there's so much stuff added to it. If I just make applesauce and I don't add anything to it, that's still a very healthy food.
Yeah, well, I guess like we could even define it, like there's processes that just include heat or cold.
Yeah.
There's also processes that include additives.
And
right?
chemicals.
Yes.
And preservatives.
But like back in the day, they used to process things with salt.
Yes.
Right? Which I'm going to say, like, we all know we need to watch the sodium too, but we're way better off to have a process of something that's just added salt than all of these other chemicals that are like man-made chemicals like maltodextrin or all the other words that we can't even pronounce because there's nothing real about them. Salt is at least something that we can derive from outside somewhere, right?
Right, right. Salt is God made.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful when we're talking about all these processes, because some processes are unhealthy and some are healthy. So this is a regular process, an apple to applesauce. Now, the more you heat it, the more good you're taking out of it. And so then there's stuff where you add a little bit of stuff to keep it okay. Because if you want something to last for a long time, you have to add preservatives. So you might have a little bit, like you said, salt. So that would be a processed food. Then there's the ultra. So why don't you tell us about the ultra?
So the ultra processed foods are, there were 3 in particular that they talked about. And Margie, it's actually funny that you say their Walmarts have Subways, so a little bit healthier.
Yeah.
Because I think that is another myth, that Subway is healthier. And Subway marketed that to us back in the day when, what's-his-face, Jared, that's now in jail or whatever, but when he lost all that weight eating Subway.
And there's even a documentary on him.
And the thing is, the bread at Subway legally is not even allowed to be classified as bread in some countries because it's got so much sugar in it that it legally can't even be called bread.
That's mind-blowing.
That right there tells you about Subway. Plus, deli meats are part of the ultra-processed foods that I'm talking about.
And that is on our list today to talk about. It's about deli meats.
So it's deli meats. The ultra-processed foods they talked about were deli meats, diet soda, like diet products, like diet sodas, where they're using artificial sugars like aspartame. And the third one, I don't remember what it was, but I think it was like high fructose corn syrup, I think was the third, like foods that have high fructose corn syrup.
Well, and if that wasn't it, that's on our list, because high fructose corn syrup is one of the most things that you should stay away with. When you're reading labels, if it has high fructose corn syrup, put it back on the shelf. Don't buy it. Don't bring it in your house.
Or glucose fructose even is like another.
Yeah, that's not good either. But high fructose corn syrup, I was told by a doctor that it's actually it's like a calorie, say 1 calorie from sugar, say it's 1. High fructose corn syrup, the same gram for gram, is like 1.75 calories. So it's almost double when it's got high fructose corn syrup.
That's crazy.
It's just absolutely mind-blowing. And this doctor said, it's deadly. It's poison. Do not consume it.
Yeah. And so like these ultra-processed foods, I don't recall a whole lot of information about that, but that part really stuck in my head, that we have different categories now where like one is this considered ultra-processed foods that we should like at all costs stay away from. And so like Margie, you're so not alone in the like Subway myth, right?
Well, unless you're having a Subway salad, and then you could stay away from the deli meats, because sometimes they have like a boiled egg, and they have fresh
you can
produce.
probably find a healthier option at Subway, I think is what you're trying to say. And it does feel healthier because, you know, you see this big assortment of vegetables. So like in a way, maybe it's healthier, but like it's just we live in this.
They're not telling you the whole truth.
And like it's just crazy that we live in this world like that, right? Where we're confused.
Yeah.
And we are
brainwashed.
We're made to be confused. Because they're trying to get us to buy the thing to make us feel better about the fact that we're buying the thing. And
it's the same as in the 80s when this low fat was everywhere. That was the best thing going. And we were all brainwashed to believe that we had to get rid of the fat and eat low fat. And actually what we were consuming is more carbs. And that's when the obesity epidemic, more sugar, more carbs, when the epidemic just kind of spiraled. Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, this ultra processed food is another thing that we really had to like.
So then you have to look at pizza.
Yeah.
Because we all think, well, pizza's not that bad. It's got, it's got the breads, it's got the
tomato sauce.
Yeah, that.
Cheese.
It's got you can have lots of vegetables on it. You got the dairy because of the cheese. You've got meat because of the protein. But that is the meat. That is the ultra processed stuff that's just so bad for us. Wow.
Or I want to say charcuterie boards are like all the
Oh,
rage
yeah.
these days, and people think that they're kind of high class when they're eating a charcuterie board.
Yeah.
And it's just chock full of deli meat and ultra processed foods. And like, here's the thing. We're not saying you're never going to eat pizza again. We're not saying you're never going to have a charcuterie board again if that's your thing. What we are saying is these myths that we have in our head about what is healthy
And what isn't.
We've got to really start like looking at what we're doing. And so those are a few of the things. Like, so we've talked about bananas, we've talked about the ultra processed foods, we've talked about coffee, we talked really briefly about wine. That's another one that is like, should you have it, should you not have it, should you have it, should you not have it.
Okay, here's another one, yogurt.
Oh,
Yogurt can be so different from one to the next. You have to really watch what yogurt you're putting into your body. You might be thinking, oh, it's really good. It's got probiotics. It's this, it's
Greek
that. It's
yogurt,
green.
high protein.
It's high protein. It's everything I need. Read the labels.
Okay, I'm going to talk about this one for a second because my husband and one of my kids really likes yogurt, and I refuse to buy the yogurt that has all the sweetener in it, even though it's the Greek yogurt and it's the all natural and it's the vanilla flavor.
Organic.
3/4 of a cup of that particular yogurt, the one I'm talking about is at our Costco. 3/4 of a cup, I forget the sugar content. It was like 30 grams of sugar.
Yeah, it's more than what you're supposed to have in a day.
For 3/4 of a cup.
It's not going to fill you up. It's going to make you want to have way more sugar in your day.
Yeah. And so, sure, the calorie count might not be that bad, but we have to start looking at more than just the calorie count.
Yeah.
When we're choosing foods. And so what I do buy is like, because often what they're using yogurt for is to put it in a smoothie where they're adding, like for my husband, where he's adding like an apple or other fruit or a banana, and like you don't even miss the sugar.
That's right.
Right? And so yogurt can be, or like the ones that are even worse are like the Go-Gurt yogurt, kids yogurts.
Oh yeah, they're filled
oh
with
my
sugar.
goodness, they're horrible. Like, just don't buy them.
Yeah.
Stop.
So that's another one that we were going to talk about is granola.
And granola
bars. Like they're all marketed as, oh, here's the healthy thing. This is the perfect snack for you. It's going to have your protein and your carbs and it's just right for you. When you look at it, you read the ingredients and you go, high fructose corn syrup, that much sugar? And you're just like mind blown that it's filled with chemicals.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And some of them have food coloring and dyes.
They're crazy. The granola bars or even granola. That's another thing I looked at a couple weeks ago because, again, like my daughter and my husband like to have yogurt and granola, which you think is a healthy snack, right? Or a healthy breakfast.
And it can be.
It can be, that's right.
If you make it yourself.
Yeah. And I stopped buying that other yogurt a long time ago. And I stopped buying the granola too because the granola is the same thing. It's like half a cup is like another 30 grams of sugar. So if you have, yeah, I know, I saw it. Elaine's.
I'm going to have to go out and eat the grass. I like it, Elaine.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's funny, right? But yeah, if you have the granola and the yogurt together, it's like 60 to 70 grams of sugar. And you think you're having a healthy meal, right? And so it's like...
And you're not even full.
No. Exactly.
Oh, wow.
So all these crazy myths about like what do we eat, what do we not eat, what's healthy, what's not healthy.
It is
granola
very confusing.
Does not have to be unhealthy.
No. So I'm going to tell you, it's very easy to make your own granola.
Yeah.
For one, if you don't know, look it up. There's tons of recipes. If you don't have our recipe, we have one.
Mm-hmm.
You can get our book, but just start making your own granola. It tastes delicious. It tastes way better because it isn't filled with all the junk.
Yeah. And you can still sweeten it a little bit.
Yeah, we just use honey.
Yeah.
And so it's very simple to make and you can put in what's going in it. And that's what's really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about one more thing. And one
Okay.
more thing that we want to dispel this thing about is bread. Sometimes we think bread is really good for us. And I'm going to say, we love bread. I love bread.
Yeah, so do I.
And we eat bread. But you have to be careful about the bread you're eating because, it's way more than counting calories. It's about what you're putting into your body and what spikes your blood sugar levels because bread, like white bread, is 100 on the glycemic index, and the index is 0 to 100. White bread is 100. And wheat bread, which you think is going to be so much healthier, is still in the high category. So you have to really look, start reading the labels. You have to figure out what you're taking in, because it's not just about counting calories. It's about what you're fueling your body with to give your body the energy and the nutrition it needs so that you can lose the weight.
Exactly. So if you're here watching, tell us in the comments the food that you think is the most confusing when it comes to health. Like, is it healthy? Is it not healthy? Maybe there's a food that you still don't even know.
We didn't talk about juice, did we?
Oh, no, we didn't. But juice, oh man. Watch out for juice.
If you're a juice drinker, I'm going to encourage you to go and read the labels, because most of the juice, you can buy juice that has pulp in it, but most of the juice has all the fiber stripped from it. It is just pure sugar into your body. And it tastes good. Yeah, and it's from fruit. Yes. But there's a reason God made fruit to eat whole, because it has what it needs for your body. It has the fiber in it.
Well, and not only that, but if you look at the nutritional information and the serving size, it's usually 1 cup. If you're pouring yourself a glass of juice, I almost guarantee you it's like 3 cups.
Yeah.
Right?
A Snickers bar is lower on the glycemic. Yes, that's right, Erica. A Snickers bar is lower on the glycemic index than bread. Now, who would have thought, right? That's confusing. Oh my goodness.
And no, we're not saying go eat a Snickers bar for lunch today, but the point, Erica, like that's such a good point,
that
right?
That is such a good point.
Yeah.
White bread is not good for you.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, as time continues to change and go on, some of the things that we are eating right now might be like, that's the worst thing you should ever eat. Like we drink nut milk, right? Like we drink almond milk or cashew milk. And I know that there's people out there that don't think that that's good.
I know.
or
And
healthy,
just recently
right?
there was a whole recall on almond milk because it had this bacteria in it that was bad for you.
Yeah.
And so you have to be careful with what you're taking into your body. You always have to be careful. We always have to read the labels.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We told you to watch till the end because we were going to tell you what we did.
Yeah.
What we did is we cut out the ultra-processed foods. We started to read the labels all the time.
And I want to say, when we started reading labels, like we said earlier, we started looking at more than just the caloric information.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, when I was like in my late teens and 20s, all I cared about was calories. Like I would have never even thought to look at the sugar content on a label.
No, or the sodium content.
Yeah. I didn't grow, like I was a little bit too, the low fat craze was kind of past by the time I was on the diet train. So like the fat content isn't something that I ever really looked at either. For me, it was always just calories. And it's like, oh my goodness, this has 500 calories. I'm never going to eat it. And it's like, it's probably the healthiest thing I could eat, but I wouldn't eat it because it just had a number on it. Right. And so we have to start looking at the foods from like the whole picture. Right?
Margie, I'll go for the Snickers then.
Yeah, right? And Margie said oils in regards to healthy and confusing. And
that is confusing too. That's another big one, Margie. You're right. And so what we do, were you finished?
No, but that's fine. I don't even know what I was talking about anymore.
What we do is we use extra virgin olive oil and avocado oil and some coconut oil.
Yeah.
That's what we use. And we also use some butter. So we have quit the vegetable oils or the safflower oils or the corn oils because those are really, really highly processed.
Yeah. I think actually that was the third ultra processed food category.
Yeah, they're
all of those.
So heated over and over and over.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, corn oil, how do they get oil out of corn?
Yeah.
That's very processed.
Yeah, it is.
When you think of olive oil, you take an olive and you squish it and the oil is on your fingers.
Yeah.
That's how it's meant to be.
Yeah.
So, so read the labels.
Yeah, Erica just says, I always shop by thinking whether or not my great-grandmother would recognize it as food. Oh, that's actually a really good...
That is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good tip there, Erica.
That is a good tip, yeah.
So read the labels.
I think
portion control and moderation.
I think honestly those were the biggest changes that we made. And even in saying that, with all of the things that we've said about these things that are so unhealthy, we don't believe that we're never going to eat those things again.
No, we don't.
Like, I was just on holidays and I had some deli meat.
Yeah.
Like,
and I had company and I had some deli meat. Did I have very much of it? No. I also I go to Costco and buy these whole chickens if I'm in a panic or in a hurry.
yeah.
And
Like the rotisserie chickens,
the rotisserie,
you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say those are not too bad. They're not even the best, but they're
Better
not bad.
than the deli meat.
Yeah, like we often talk about the good, better, and best.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're in a you're having company and you don't know what you're going to have, and so you go get a chicken so you can have some quick chicken and potatoes or chicken and rice or whatever for company. Or it's really good to have cold chicken.
Mm-hmm.
But you really have to look at the labels, and I read those labels often.
Yeah. Yeah.
To see if they change.
But yeah, I think that's the thing that we're not saying you're never going to eat these things again. We're not saying you're never going to have a Coke again or a Diet Coke. We're not saying, because I even just shared too, I still have a Diet Coke once in a blue moon, right? We're not saying never. We're saying we have to start using moderation and portion control with what we are doing. And if your definition of moderation is like for me, if my definition of moderation with Diet Coke was 1 liter of Diet Coke every day, well, that's not really moderation, right?
Exactly.
Like, we've got to start scaling it back, and like moderation might mean 1 a week, it might mean 1 every 2 weeks, it might mean 1 a month, right? So like we have to just start becoming more aware of what moderation looks like. And the other big thing we have to think about, and like these are the 3 things that we wrote down that we did that actually helped us turn the corner in weight loss, is reading the labels, portion control and moderation, and remembering that every decision matters. Every decision counts.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Let's say that again. Every decision matters.
Yeah.
Everything that you decide on matters. Everything you put in your mouth matters. Everything that you and I put in our mouths matters.
Yeah. And again, some of those decisions are going to be that you're going to have the piece of pizza with the deli meat on it.
That's right.
And that decision, it's not necessarily, like, it's not an evil decision. It's not necessarily a bad decision. But when every decision we're making keeps compounding with unhealthy things over and over and over again, then it does start to really affect us in negative ways.
Yeah. Then it harms our health.
Yeah.
And so it harms our body. And that's what we're trying to prevent. We want to be healthy. Mm-hmm. We want to be healthy individuals, healthy women, beautiful, healthy women, so that we can live out God's purpose that He has destined for you and I.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Margie says, I recently heard that you're not supposed to cook olive oil at a high temperature because it actually can be bad for you. Yeah, it that is true.
So what we do, Margie, and this might not be the greatest thing either, is we put a little bit of olive oil and we do put them in the, what do you have?
Air fryer.
And so maybe that's not healthy either. Maybe we're doing that wrong.
Yeah, but I think also like, just another thing where we don't say you're never going to do it again. Like, we don't keep vegetable oils or corn oils in our house, but we have this one family tradition of like a deep fried bread called rollkuchen, which is a Mennonite thing. And we have it like once a year. When we do have it, we go buy a thing of vegetable oil because it's deep fried and we fry it in that, right? But that's once a year. So it's exactly what we're saying.
It's not like you're never going to have it.
Yeah.
Because we want to still enjoy those traditions sometimes.
Yeah. Or if you go out and have fries at the restaurant, they're cooked in one of those canola oils or one of them.
Yeah.
And you're going to have the fries sometimes, right?
I gotta go.
Yes.
So we've been rambling here for a while. Thank you for joining us here. Do you want to keep going?
No.
Okay. We have kids over at her house who are being babysat. But we just want you to say, just remember to think about your health. Mm-hmm. It's our health that's important. If we want to lose weight, there's a big fine line. It's big and it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's a line where you have to be careful not to overeat, because that's why we say every decision, every bite matters. You can have 5 extra bites and it will take you from being in weight loss mode to being in maintenance mode.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to lose the weight, every bite matters.
Yes, it does. And Erica says avocado oil can be used for frying. Yeah, it's better
we
for
have
that.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, Elaine, you know what? It's hard to rant by yourself sitting here talking to a screen. It's much easier with both of us.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay, the last thing that we need to say is if you want to know more about how we lost the weight, the link to our 10-day WeighDown Plan is in the description. You can go ahead and check that out. And I think until next time, remember, treat your body like a temple,
not a trash can.
See you next time.